I can't help myself. I like good food, okay? And good food is hard for a rat to find.
Thanks to TikTok, Ratatouille has officially reached new heights as the beloved cultural phenomenon it always deserved to be. But why is that? And why now? Sure, the animation is amazing.
How did you do that?
The story is heartwarming, the characters are lovable, and the food looks delicious. But why did the message of Ratatouille hit so hard at this exact moment in time? Keep watching to find out.
Anyone can cook.
Well, yeah, anyone can. That doesn't mean that anyone should.
All the way back in 2007, when we first heard that Pixar was making a movie about a rat cooking food in a restaurant kitchen, we thought, gross.
The rat! I saw it!
Having a rat anywhere near food just seems like a bad idea. And to make a whole animated movie about it, it'll never work. And yet, just like Ego, the snooty food critic with his old school beliefs about what defines a real chef, by the end of the movie, we were totally won over. Let rats cook all of the meals. Okay, so maybe not in real life, but in this case, the story of Remy and his human friend Linguine, who rise from the bottom to be declared the finest chefs in all of France, is without a doubt one of the best Pixar stories of all time.
So I'm not crazy!
Sure, it might not have been as big of a sensation as Toy Story, as action-packed as The Incredibles, or have as many iconic lines as Monsters, Inc.
May the best monster win.
But we think that Ratatouille stands out from the rest of the Pixar lineup for so many reasons. To start with, it has all of the story elements that make up an awesome Pixar movie. A hero who we meet while he's questioning the life he feels inescapably trapped in, before he falls down to his lowest point, in this case, literally in the sewer. And then we get to go along for the ride as he climbs to his eventual triumph over all obstacles. It has gorgeous animation, a beautiful score, some great jokes, and a cast of equally lovable supporting characters. But on top of all of that, we get the ending. And the ending is what makes Ratatouille one of the best films that Pixar has ever made. Because it's not just about a rat who wants to be a chef, it's about what it really means to be an artist, to have an unshakable need to create something beautiful, even when the world tries to stop you in every possible way.
You with me?
It's about class and the barricades that have been put in place to make sure that only a select few are able to rise to the top. Even the meal that Remy cooks to finally win over the formidable ego, Ratatouille, means so much more than it might seem. It's a vegetable stew that was originally made by poor farmers in the southern part of France. And by making it for Ego, Remy immediately transports him back to his own humble beginnings and reminds him that good food means so much more than how fancy it is, how difficult it was to prepare, or where the chef learned to cook. Sure, almost all Pixar movies have their own heartwarming message at the end. But as we live through a time that has challenged so much more about the world we inhabit, it's no accident that this movie has recently hit home with millions of people, and why Ratatouille has found its new home on TikTok. We have to wonder, would Ratatouille have had such a massive comeback if we weren't currently in the middle of a global pandemic?
What's more important here?
Some of us stuck at home with not a whole lot to do to keep busy? And would any of it have happened without TikTok? See, way back in August, we were all still figuring out what to do with the huge amount of free time on our hands, in a world that had changed significantly. Many turned to TikTok as a way to entertain themselves, including one user named Emily Jacobson, who innocently uploaded a little clip of herself singing a song about Remy the rat.
Remy the Ratatouille.
With no idea what kind of storm she had just set in motion. The quick video went viral, which is when composer Daniel Mertzleft got involved and really turned things up a notch. He transformed the simple tune into a triumphant orchestral finale, in which he envisioned glitter and confetti raining onto the audience as 40 ensemble singers triumphantly belted the tune to their beloved Remy, standing center stage. It didn't take long for the ball to continue to roll, as songs like Ratatouille Tango, There's Good in the Garbage, and Anyone Can Cook appeared on the platform, rounding out the show and giving a voice to all of the different characters. And then, it wasn't just singers and composers who were getting involved. All of the choreographers, set designers, costume designers, stage managers, and lighting designers who might have been too busy to participate in previous years hopped onto the Ratatouille train and brought the show's visuals to life. And just like that, out of nowhere, thousands of creators with no theaters to work in and millions of spectators with no shows to go and see were actually creating a full-scale Broadway musical together from scratch while sitting in their living rooms alone. This wasn't just a funny meme anymore. Ratatouille the musical became an outlet for creators and audiences to come together once again, after months of feeling isolated, alone, and completely cut off from what once gave them so much joy.
Thanks for coming back, little chef.
And just like the ending of Ratatouille the movie, they tore down the barriers that normally stand between artists and their ability to work. There were no auditions, no casting directors, no gatekeepers deciding who would be allowed in or not because of what school they went to or how long their resume was. Just like Remy and his cooking, this was all about the love of making something wonderful for everyone to enjoy. Ratatouille the musical was more about the community making it than the actual thing itself, and that is something that is pretty rare these days. While it is possible that Ratatouille the movie might have found a new audience all these years later on its own, and without a global pandemic to kick things off, we're not so sure that Ratatouille the musical would have. And we don't think it's a coincidence that this movie, with its message that art can come from anyone, no matter who or where they are, resonated so clearly with all of us right now. For millions, the pandemic has made us feel as though our entire lives have been taken away from us, as though we had lost all of the things that had once made us feel happy and busy and fulfilled. Whether you were a musician or an actor with no stage to play on, or an audience member who could no longer get so much joy out of going to see a show with your friends and family, we all found ourselves feeling a little bit lost. But coming together over TikTok to bond over the story of a little rat named Remy really helped so many people feel a tiny bit more found. And of course, everything we love about Ratatouille always brings us back to the ending. When the movie came out in 2007, the world was a very different place. And sure, we thought that the message of the movie was sweet, but it didn't really resonate in the same way it does now. Let's take a quick look at where the four most important characters started off at the beginning of the movie. We first meet Remy when he and his family are forced to hide in the walls of a human's home, constantly fearing for their lives and scrounging for food in order to survive. His family considers his dream of being an artist frivolous because for them, mere survival is their only goal.
First of all, we are not thieves. Secondly, stay out of the kitchen.
Linguine is a young man who has achieved a position as a chef in a very important restaurant, even though he doesn't really have all that many skills, has no training, and is seriously clumsy. We find out later that his success hasn't been earned, but has been awarded to him just because he's the son of the great Auguste Cousteau and heir to his legacy.
Bonjour, ma chérie. Join us.
We then have Colette, the only woman working in the kitchen, who has had to work much harder than any of her colleagues simply because she is who she is, and who is understandably hesitant to help Linguine, who has had everything she dreams of simply handed to him.
You are the boss. Inspire them.
And finally, we have Ego, the man who has been declared the only voice in deciding what is good and what is bad, and delights in striking fear into the hearts of chefs all over Paris. He has long since upheld the old world ways of French cuisine that only favor those who are exactly like the men who came before, with open disdain for anyone or anything that is considered different.
I don't like food, I love it.
Until he tastes Remy's Ratatouille, that is. As soon as the so-called peasant food hits Ego's taste buds, he is immediately reminded that he too was once on the outside, dreaming of a world that seemed like it would never welcome him. He is brought back to what good food really means: family, love, and acceptance. And when he is finally introduced to the real chef behind his transformative meal, all of the rules and guidelines that he has spent years enforcing about who is allowed to cook good food go right out the window. He admits that the food he ate, and more so, the chef who cooked it, challenged his idea of what fine cooking really is and, as he said, rocked him to his core. Ego, who once openly mocked the great Chef Cousteau's motto, "Anyone can cook," now understands that that is actually completely true.
But I realize only now do I truly understand what he meant.
That it doesn't actually matter what you look like, where you come from, or what kind of access you were born into. For the first time, he realized the most fundamental part of that message.
Not everyone can become a great artist. but a great artist can come from anywhere.
The ending of Ratatouille makes us wonder just how much of what we believe to be good or bad are outdated rules that were taught to us when we were younger. It asks us to question the way we judge other people because of where they come from, or what they look like, or how much money they have. Because when it comes down to it, none of these things actually matter in the end. Everyone deserves a fair chance to be who they want to be and create the things they want to create, even if they are just a tiny little rat named Remy with a dream of making delicious food. And that, dear friends, is exactly why the ending of Ratatouille is the best thing to happen to Pixar. We're not crying, or you're crying! While we all thought that we'd need tons of Amazon packages and elaborate skincare routines to get us through the pandemic, it turns out all we really needed was a little Ratatouille. What about you? Were you just as enchanted as we were by this Pixar classic? Or do you have another animated favorite? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to keep up with all the latest videos from The Things.